Namaste from Dhananjaya Kumar and welcome to this video episode dedicated to the teachers and students of wisdom or deeper knowledge than what is available by simple observation and through your senses. In one recent video, I tried to explain arithmetic in very simple terms. What do numbers mean? And what is the smallest possible number and the largest possible number? In another video, I try to explain what is the number using which we can count everything in the universe. All the sands, all the stars, all the leaves, all the atoms, all the galaxies, everything that is possibly existing in the universe can be counted by that number. And that number is certainly not infinity, because infinity you cannot count. So, from that sense of deeper mathematics, although not complicated mathematics, let's move to another aspect of math, which is geometry, shapes and sizes. So, one way to bring kids' attention and also to make it fun is to go into the subtlety of form and shape. To start with, I know one or two of the greatest scholars and scientists have observed this and had fun in their math classroom as well as some punishment. So the concept is this: how do you define a dot? What is a dot? When you put a dot with a pen on a small piece of paper or large piece of paper, let's say you put a dot here. So I am showing you on this side. There is a dot here. I don't know if you can see. You're not supposed to see a dot. So a dot is defined as a part of space which is marked, which does not have length, width or depth. Now, even if you put a point on a piece of paper, it may look very small. And by looking at it, you cannot say that this has a length and width and depth. But if you look through a microscope, that tiny dot actually looks big, and it does have length and width. It does have a size. It may look circular or somewhat circular, but it is not nothing, because only nothing will have no length, width and depth. So now the question arises, after defining a dot in this way, how do you define a line? So the geometry would say, you put lots of dots together one after the other and it becomes a line. But don't forget how dot is defined. It doesn't have length, width and depth. Therefore, it actually does not exist. It is a concept, it is an idea. It does not have a material representation, material something you can observe. So if a dot does not exist, a line does not exist. Because line is when you arrange a dot one after the other. then it becomes a line. So this is strange. A dot doesn't exist, a line doesn't exist. Now using the same lines, you can draw a triangle, you can draw a rectangle, you can draw a square, you can draw a circle, and many other shapes. So, if the origin of all those shapes is a dot, then the shape doesn't exist. So this is kind of fun. Although in your school exam, you cannot use this argument because you have to say there is a dot, there is a line, there is a triangle, an angle. All these things you have to explain and understand, and there are formulas. But somewhere in the back of the mind, there is a doubt that the shape we are seeing is actually an idea, and even if we see a shape, it is what we see through our eyes. That kind of expands the mind of children, and teachers can pay attention, bring this out. Then you can ask the next question, that why does everything in the world, in the universe, and in you slowly becomes circular after a long time? It may not start as a circle, but slowly it becomes roundish. May not be perfect circle, but somehow roundish shape. If you look at galaxy, although it is spiraling, but it kind of becomes like this, roundish. All these stars shining look round. Why not any other shape? All the planets are round. If you visualize a drop of water, is roundish. Even objects that you see on earth around you. You look at a flower, most flowers are roundish. If you look at a tree, the top part of the tree is like a half circle, like an arc. Some are this way, so the top looks like a corner, but it is rounded. Even leaves take a shape, not exactly round, but they become roundish. They are not like zigzag, crisscross. So why does this happen? Even in space, asteroids, comets have a roundish look. Some of them are not roundish or circular, maybe a little bit rough edges, but because they are new, after a while they keep circling, rotating, orbiting. Eventually they become closer and closer to being circular. So this is a good question to ask children, that if a dot does not exist, why does any shape exist? And why all the shapes eventually become circular? Even your eyes are circular. Your face is kind of circular. Your nose here is circular. Your nostrils are circular. Your shoulders are circular. Your fingertips are circular. It's fun to observe. Now, the other thing you can explain to children is the reason of circularity in the universe. And that is a science concept of friction. Now this may be a little bit too advanced for children, but do not underestimate the children's capacity to learn deeper and more complicated things if you can explain it in simple terms. So look at the idea of friction. There are dozen kinds of friction. Moving friction, liquid friction, solid friction, friction caused by air, by gravity, by dust around the object, and even in empty space. So this is a little bit deeper subject where you need to collect, put together information and explain to the children. But I'm just trying to give some hints how wisdom learning can be made fun, and in order for children to develop an inquiring mind, inquisitive mind, it helps very much if they are asked questions, they are probed. So such probing, such bringing to their attention certain facts around them, that instead of just looking and passing by, yeah, this is that, they should begin to learn questioning why this is like this and why this is not like this, so that they are able to inquire and learn, observe and learn, and by observation and inquiry they can discover themselves and the knowledge of the world around them. That process is the most enjoyable and satisfying part of growing up. Thank you for paying attention, and we'll meet again soon. Namaste.